Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show that takes your stack of sources, all the articles, the research, the history, and just distills it down into what you really need to know.
Hmm.
Today, we are immersing ourselves in a land of deep history, a lot of surprising cultural quirks, and the very complex reality of being four nations sharing a single crown.
That's right. Our mission today is to go, way beyond just the surface of the United Kingdom.
Right.
We're not just listing off facts. We want to analyze the core identity of the UK, how England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland actually managed to function together.
One government, one king, one currency.
Exactly. All while holding on to these fiercely independent traditions. It's a real study in centralized government versus regional identity.
And the goal, as always, is to give you that complete picture, the political, the geographic, and the, frankly, sometimes bizarre without all the information overload. So let's start with the absolute basics, because even the name itself hints at that complexity.
It absolutely does. You have to remember the full proper name. The United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
That's quite a mouthful.
It is, but it defines the geographic reality. We are in Northwest Europe, surrounded by a water. The Atlantic, the North Sea, the English Channel, the Irish Sea.
And here's a key piece of geography to lock in. Despite being an island nation, the UK shares a land border with only one other country.
The Republic of Ireland.
Exactly. And we'll come back to why that single land connection is, well, probably the most complex political and economic issue for the whole Union right now. But let's hold that thought.
Okay, so in terms of scale, the UK is about 243,610 square kilometers, and the population for 2025 sitting at around 68 million people.
And the political framework.
It's defined as a constitutional monarchy and a parliamentary democracy.
Okay, that phrase, constitutional monarchy, is so important for understanding how British politics works.
Mm.
It means that while you have a head of state, King Charles III, the monarch reigns but doesn't actually rule.
Right. The real political power is all with the head of government, the prime minister, who is currently Keir Starmer since mid-2024.
And that political structure, the one centered in Westminster, is what really lets the UK hold on to its global economic position.
Oh, absolutely. You can't talk about the UK without talking about finance. London is one of the world's biggest financial centers.
Yeah.
It drives this massive services industry that's, way more important to the GDP than manufacturing is these days.
So if the centralized economy is services and finance, how does that unified identity get, visually represented?
Well, you just have to look at the symbols. The currency is the pound sterling, of course. The national anthem is God Save the King.
But the flag, the Union Jack, that's where you really see the history stitched together.
It really is. It's not just some cool design. It was deliberately made to combine the cross of St. George for England, St. Andrew for Scotland, and St. Patrick for Ireland.
It's a visual representation of the acts of union that brought them all together.
Exactly. And the absence of the Welsh dragon is significant. It shows that Wales was considered part of the Kingdom of England when that first big act of union happened in 1707.
And that symbolism connects directly to the engine that produces this whole workforce, right? The education system.
Free and compulsory education from ages 5 all the way up to 16.
And it's this very structured path. You have your GCSEs, then A-levels, or maybe vocational courses.
And that's the pipeline. That's what feeds world-famous universities like Oxford, Cambridge, and Edinburgh. The academic excellence there isn't just, a historical footnote.
Yep.
They are the active suppliers of the talent that keeps London's financial sector and the country's tech industry globally competitive. It all ties back together.
Okay, so we've set up the central structure. But I think the real deep dive starts when we explore the four kind of wildly different personalities inside that union.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick comparative tour. Look at the geography, the capitals, the unique facts for each country.
And we have to start with England. It's the largest component by every metric.
Its capital, London, sits on the River Thames and is home to, about 9 million people?
Roughly, yeah. It's a vast global megacity, the absolute political heart of the UK.
And the geography of England is more gentle, isn't it? Rolling hills, plains. The highest point is Scafell Pike, which is a pretty modest 978 meters.
It is. But England's power, its draw, comes from the sheer depth of its history. We're talking about landmarks everyone in the world knows. Buckingham Palace, the Tower of London,
And Stonehenge.
Stonehenge. I mean, it's over 4,000 years old. It's not just some old rocks. It's a massive living tourism generator.
And speaking of old structures that are still working, the London Underground
The world's oldest subway system.
from 1863.
It's a physical testament to England's early industrial and engineering power. It's what keeps that whole megacity moving.
Okay, now let's cross the border and head north into Scotland, where the landscape just completely changes.
It really does. You trade those rolling hills for something much more rugged and dramatic.
The Highlands.
Exactly. Scotland is defined by the Scottish Highlands, these deep, mysterious lochs and glens. And where England has Scafell Pike, Scotland has the tallest mountain in the entire UK.
Which is Ben Nevis.
Ben Nevis, clocking in at 1,345 meters.
Edinburgh is the capital, but Scotland's political identity is really defined by its autonomy, isn't it?
Very much so. It has its own devolved Parliament Holyrood, led by First Minister John Swinney.
And this is so critical for you to understand. Devolution means Holyrood has its own power over things like health, education, justice.
All separate from Westminster. It really emphasizes Scotland's distinct national identity.
Culturally, what has Scotland given us?
Well, golf, for starters. St. Andrews is the birthplace. And, of course, the legend of the Loch Ness Monster, which still drives so much tourism.
And if you really want to see Scottish culture on display,
You go to the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, it's the world's largest arts festival. Or you go for their huge New Year's celebration, which they call Hogmanay.
amazing. Okay, moving south and west, we land in Wales, the country with that incredible red dragon on its flag.
YD Dragok, yes. That red dragon symbolizes victory, a really deep historical identity. Its capital is Cardiff, and it is fiercely bilingual.
Right, they're making a real effort to preserve the Welsh language.
A huge effort. It's actively spoken right alongside English.
The natural beauty is stunning. You have Snowdonia National Park, Eryri, which is home to Mount Snowdon.
But the historical feature that just sets Wales apart, the thing that gives us a real economic insight, is the castles, the sheer number of them.
This fact is incredible.
It is. Wales has over 600 castles.
600.
Think about that. It is officially more castles per square kilometer than any other country in the world.
And that density, it tells a story, right?
It tells a story of centuries of defense, mostly against English expansion.
But what does it mean today? I mean, what does maintaining 600 castles mean for the modern Welsh economy?
It means Wales is intrinsically linked to heritage tourism. Sites like Caernarfon Castle draw global crowds. History is a literal economic engine there.
Beyond the castles, what defines Welsh culture?
Rugby. Rugby union is like a religion there.
Mm-hmm.
And the Eisteddfod, their ancient festival of music and poetry, it really reinforces that commitment to their language and art.
Okay, finally, let's jump across the Irish Sea to Northern Ireland. And this is where things get, well, politically more complex because of that one land border we mentioned.
Right. Belfast is the capital. Geographically, you have Loch Ness, the biggest lake in the British Isles by area, and Slieve Donard is the highest point.
But the politics are just tied so deeply to its history. The sources all point to the complexity of the UK's relationship with the EU, especially after Brexit, and how it all centers on the legacy of the Troubles.
And the Good Friday Agreement.
Yes. The fact that there's a shared land border means that any political solution has to prioritize peace. It has to avoid a hard border.
Which is why you have these unique, sometimes controversial, trade arrangements for the Irish sea border. It's a constant, very sensitive balancing act.
On the historical side, Northern Ireland has these incredible contrasts.
It really does. You have the Titanic Belfast Museum, a testament to industrial might, built on the very spot where the ship was constructed.
And then, completely naturally, you have the Giant's Causeway.
A UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the most stunning natural wonder in the UK.
Yeah.
Just these 40,000 hexagonal basalt columns left over from a volcano.
Wow.
And tying it all to global storytelling, C.S. Lewis was from Belfast. The Mourne Mountains are said to have inspired Narnia.
And of course, Game of Thrones.
A huge amount of Game of Thrones was filmed there.
So if we connect all this back, you can really see the UK isn't one country. It's 4 distinct cultural and geographical powerhouses, all navigating different levels of autonomy under one roof.
And that complexity, that need to manage 4 different histories, translates directly into a fascinating, sometimes bewildering set of social habits, all designed to, maintain politeness and order.
Speaking of social order, let's shift gears completely. Let's dive into the quirks, the habits, and the hilarious oddities of the British social landscape. And the first thing you have to master is the sorry culture.
Oh, it's a mechanism. It really is. Brits say sorry all the time, but it's not usually an admission of guilt.
No.
It's just a social lubricant, a way to smooth things over. The classic example is if you step on their foot, they will probably apologize to you.
For the awkwardness of it all.
For causing the moment, exactly.
And once you've navigated the politeness, you have to navigate the food. Yeah. The culinary miscommunication. This is where basic English vocabulary can be a total minefield.
You have to know this before you order food. In the UK, chips are French fries. The thick, fried potato sticks you get with fish.
And crisps.
Or what Americans call potato chips. The crunchy things from a bag. Confuse them at your own risk.
That's a necessary distinction, especially when we start looking at the surprising and, frankly, sometimes alarming names of traditional British dishes.
The names are baffling. I think it might be by design. You have toad in the hole.
Okay.
Which is sausages baked into Yorkshire pudding batter.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, there are 0 amphibians involved.
I have to pause on that one. If you described that dish to someone who'd never heard of it, they would assume you were talking about some medieval punishment, not comfort food.
It sounds awful, but it's delicious.
But it gets weirder.
It does. Then you have spotted dick.
Yep.
A steamed pudding with dried fruit, usually served with custard. The name just guarantees giggles everywhere else in the world.
And for the truly adventurous,
there's black pudding. It's a sausage made mostly from pig's blood. It's part of a full English breakfast. The rule is, just don't ask what's in it. Just enjoy it.
Deliciously confusing. Okay, moving from the dinner table to environmental history. The sources point to this critical turning point in London's infrastructure that was caused by, of all things, a terrible smell.
The Great Stink of 1858. It was the moment the River Thames just got so overwhelmed with sewage and waste that the smell was overpowering.
How bad was it?
So bad that Parliament, which sits right on the river, had to shut down.
Wow.
This wasn't just a nuisance. It forced the city to fund and build a massive modern sewer system. It cleaned the water supply and inadvertently saved countless lives from cholera.
It took a massive smell to trigger massive progress.
Basically, yes.
All right, this is where it gets really interesting on the ceremonial side, and it just speaks to the depth of tradition around the crown. The king technically owns the wildlife.
Well, specifically, all unmarked mute swans in open water belong to the crown.
And this isn't just some old law in the books.
Not at all. It's an active tradition. There's a yearly census event called swannoping, where the swans are literally captured, checked, and counted.
And what does that symbolize?
It symbolizes the continuity of royal authority. It links the modern monarch all the way back to medieval hunting and resource rights.
Speaking of tradition as a kind of insurance policy, we have to talk about the ravens.
The ravens at the Tower of London.
This is an amazing piece of, cultural architecture, security via ornithology?
It is a phenomenal custom. The tower keeps 7 ravens, specifically because of the legend that says, if the ravens ever leave the Tower of London, the kingdom will fall.
And they take this seriously.
So seriously that the ravens have official keepers, dedicated staff called raven masters. It just highlights how much the British treat their symbols and rituals, even the ones that border on, superstition.
And while we're on social order, let's discuss the unspoken religion that governs every interaction, the queue.
The British will queue or line up for absolutely everything. Buses, shops, bank tellers.
It's an expectation.
It's an expectation of a perfectly polite, organized, fair order.
Yeah.
And cutting the line is considered one of the worst social offenses you can commit.
It ties right into that sense of order and payment.
And speaking of payment, the phrase, spend a penny. That came about because the first modern public toilets, which were built for the Great Exhibition in 1851, required a 1-penny payment to get in.
Right.
Order, payment, queuing, it's all fundamental.
To give us a final sense of scale, beyond the human and the political, the sources gave us 2 just staggering stats.
Okay.
First, there are approximately 180 million chickens in the UK.
Wait, say that again.
180 million chickens. That is more than twice the human population. The sheer volume of poultry needed to feed this island is just astonishing.
It really is. And speaking of things the population loves, over 60% of households have a pet.
So fundamentally a nation of animal lovers.
Whether it's the king's corgis or farm chickens, yes.
And before we wrap the quirks up, we have to acknowledge the geographically unfortunate names scattered across England.
Oh, yeah.
We can confirm that a town called Piddletrenthide does, in fact, exist in Dorset.
Which confirms that the local sense of dry, sometimes alarming humor is alive and well.
And finally, a literary nugget that has defined global culture. The UK essentially invented modern detective fiction.
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle with Sherlock Holmes in 1887. His fictional address, 221B Baker Street, is now a real museum. The UK's cultural impact is just undeniable.
So what does this all mean? We've covered the whole breadth of the UK, from its constitutional structure and its massive finance industry to the complexities of the devolved governments and the unique systems of the four nations.
Right, like the density of castles in Wales or the political challenges in Northern Ireland.
We've seen a nation stitched together by a shared monarchy and economic ambition, but it's just bursting with these regional distinctions, historical quirks, and very specific rules of politeness that keep the whole thing running.
More or less smoothly.
And here's the final provocative thought our sources left us with, tying all that geographic density together.
Okay.
Because the UK is so compact and connected, you could theoretically visit all four constituent countries, England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, in one single, extremely ambitious day.
Wow. By car, train, and ferry. That'd be a whirlwind.
It would. So given that blend of ancient history and sheer geographic speed, here's a question for you to think about.
Mm-hmm.
If you attempted that four-nation challenge, which national dish, be it English fish and chips, Scottish haggis, the sweet Welsh cakes, or a Northern Irish Ulster fry, would you make sure to eat first before your time ran out?
Now, that is a truly deep dive question.
Until next time.